Hello, hello, welcome back, welcome back. This is the video you've been waiting for, huh? I know it took me a while to produce this video. I've just been kind of lazy recently, just not wanting to produce it. I've been working on a gaming channel as well, so that's a thing. And with it snowing recently, I actually spun out, slid into a curb, knocked the whole wheel out, and my Watts link is pretty bent, so the car is still drivable, but it's a little wonky. Pretty much just gonna go over the basics on what I did, what I had to start with, and then towards the end of the video, I'm going to show you the guides and how much wear was actually happening. This here is a cat. Its name is Puma. It's a she. And yeah, without further ado, let's get this video started. Everything looks pretty normal in this picture except everything down there towards the radiator. I actually removed the radiator fan and just kept the coolant reservoir there. It gave me so much more room to work with everything. The next step that I did was I fastened zip ties to the actual hood so I can hold up the wiring harnesses away from the valve covers. That way I don't have as much junk in the way of the valve cover bolts. I can get everything out. As you can see in this photo, these are the valve cover grommets, and they don't actually fit into the valve cover itself. They just sit on top. And then here's another image where the bolt's supposed to go through the valve cover and into the head, and then the gasket is designed to go around that bolt. But unfortunately, these valve cover gaskets were assembled in a box, and they were all twisted up, made it insane to put back together. And as a result, you can see that this one ear is torn up. Okay, so you got all the valve cover grommets off. It's loose. What I did, push that wiring harness behind the head, and then where it comes up here, you try to push it behind the rail, like so. And then this guy, try to push behind its bracket. And that way it keeps that big ass room behind the head there, and you can get enough space to move it. Looks like I got looks like all the big major stuff out of the way. Pretty much going to tackle the crank bolt at this point. There's a bunch of goop on it. Apparently you're supposed to put a bunch of goop on it to make sure it doesn't leak. I did that myself when I installed it, but there was a bunch of goop on it when I pulled it. There's one bolt on the power steering pump that's hidden behind a line, and you literally get half an inch to move it. The power steering pump essentially has to move with that bolt, and that bolt goes through the block and into the oil pump. Next, you can actually see the power steering pump is off, and all the bolts are zipped off of the timing cover, and the timing cover is actually separated from the heads in the block. This here is my starting point where I actually kind of get to see where everything is, get to peel everything off and see if anybody's actually been in there or not. So here's the left tensioner, or the driver's side tensioner, and I thought that one had the most wear on it, even though the passenger side was pretty much identical. This one still had some pretty gnarly wear. The upper guide on the passenger bank was actually broken a good inch, 2 inches off, nearly to the point past the bolt. So the guide was literally sitting there just loose, and you can move it up and down. As far as putting everything together, it was pretty straightforward, just removing the chains, removing the guides, removing the tensioners. The tensioners have ratcheting mechanisms, so as you pull them apart, they're not going to boom. You can see all the new guides are in place, and new chains are in place, and they are in fact in phase. I'm glad I was not the only one to witness that fucking bullshit. And then here's with it all together. I eyeballed the fuck out of this thing. I did not want anything to happen. There can be a common issue as if the passenger side is not in phase correctly. Cylinder 1 and cylinder 1 and 6 can piston on valve. So here's the best looking guide that I pulled out of there. It's still got some wear you can see on the rail when the chain was rubbing on it. Not terrible. Can't really tell if it's an OEM guide. I don't really know if the OEM ones have like Ford stamps on them or not, but there's that part number. That's the best looking one. Here's that other one I said was broken off on the edge here. You can see. First thing I see, what's that? Oh, that's a piece of guide. Isn't that great? You can see where the little nubs were rubbing against the wall here versus nothing at all here. Oh, wow, even the inside of that's kind of busted. This guide was on its way out. Yeah, again, no part number on this one. Oh, yeah, it's got a part number. Barely see it. And then the item you all came here for. I don't know if this is the driver's side or the passenger side, but oh my freaking god, dude. That just broke off because it's literally just plastic about to fall off. But look how much the chain ate through the metal. I mean, this little piece here, look at that. That's crazy. You can see where the tensioner sat right there. And then the chain started to eat through the tensioner as well. You can actually see the original wear line right here where my nail is. And then this is where the chain was wearing. That's crazy. They do have upgraded guides from MMR, which is Modular Motorsports or Modular Motor Racing. But I've seen the billet guides produce the same effect. So and then here's the other one. Pretty much identical, I would say. Yeah, pretty much identical on the wear. It rubbed through the little nub on that point. On that point, it didn't. Pretty nutty. Pretty nuts. A lot of people on the forums told me that I got really lucky. So any later, and I'm sure this engine would have tried to kill itself. This cat literally watches TV. I don't know if you guys have ever seen the channel I Do Cars. He just buys engines and tears them down. And this little black thing loves watching those videos. What's going on there, Puma? Kind of looks like a gun. How would you reload it? You'd have to pull this wrist pin out, slide it back in. Even got little iron sights. I call it my piston gun.